You're listening to the Scaling Wellness Podcast, the podcast dedicated to sharing the what, why, and how of scaling your wellness practice, as well as sharing inspiring stories of how others did it themselves. I'm your host, DJ Turner, author, agency owner, houseplant lover, and your go-to guy for scaling your wellness practice. If you're looking for tips on how to grow your team, book more clients, and get out of the day-to-day in your practice, you've come to the right place. Now sit back, relax, and let's get into the episode. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Scaling Wellness Podcast. Today, I'm going to be sitting down with Blake Bates, massage therapist, owner, and proprietor of the Tennessee Massage Collective in Franklin, Tennessee. Now, his business is a local spa that provides the highest quality service by pairing their clients with a massage therapist that's best suited to treat the client's needs. Now, he's got a very interesting story. When Blake was a teenager, he lived a wayward life. The alcohol and drugs and partying all really took center stage. And it wasn't until he felt that this lifestyle was going to be the death of him that it occurred that he needed to do something different and needed to make a change. So he transformed his entire life, becoming a fitness enthusiast, which led him to become more and more passionate about wellness and the impacts and aspects of what was available to people. And this passion was ultimately what drove him to focus his attention on taking care of people in their physical bodies and doing so in one of the best ways possible. Over time, this one-man massage team developed into his own team now, comprised of 5 extremely talented and passionate massage therapists in Middle Tennessee. They each possess their own creative style and skill set, which has allowed for a really restful and therapeutic experience to be had by the clients, and for Blake to have expanded beyond himself and now start to impact people in new ways. It's a really great conversation. I think Blake has a fantastic story, and so in this episode, we're going to be talking about how he got attention for his business starting out, what he was doing with SEO to rise to the ranks of Google, and really just what happens if you're that practitioner who's becoming on the edge of being by yourself to hiring on those first people. Here's a story of how someone else has done it. And I know it can be really difficult for a lot of men in the industry. And I think it'd be great to hear a success story of how someone has done it. And finally, we get into the steps he's taken to find that balance for him of being an owner, an operator, and massage therapist and service provider. So it's a great conversation. Can't wait for you to hear it. This is my episode with Blake Bates. So welcome back, everyone, to another episode. Today, I'm sitting down with Blake Bates of the Tennessee Massage Collective, and I'm really excited to talk to him. One of the first things I like to do is just to get context for everyone. Blake, can you just describe your business as it is today? How big's the team? What's the physical space like? And just what you guys do, what you're all about.
So Tennessee Massage Collective was created based on the concept that massage therapists are usually the lowest on the totem when it comes to a massage practice or spa wellness practice, whatever it is. They tend to land lowest on the totem in the sense of usually it goes profit, client, massage therapist. And I got kind of tired of seeing that so frequently. And so I really wanted to develop a place that was focused on the massage therapists and their abilities and sort of nurtured their ability to grow in their craft and become better massage therapists. And instead of, things like working a 50-hour session, they would have not only the time for their session, but also a little extra time if they wanted to just find a good stopping point, things like that. But also I wanted to make sure that they were in a place where they felt the freedom to sort of try new things, practice things that maybe they're not 100% on yet, but, just want to try it out and get better. So that's how it started. And as time went on, we grew and then we shrunk and then we grew again. So right now we're a team of 5, and we're in a shared office space in downtown Franklin. So we have 3 rooms in a shared suite, and we're constantly looking for that next step. And I think we're almost there, honestly. Maybe a few more months, but pretty soon we'll be moving on to the next thing or the next better thing, just so that I can get the right space for these massage therapists to work.
Now, one of the things I always like to do is just to take a peek at, who the owners are, because I think massage therapists, especially as entrepreneurs, are really interesting people. So I'm really curious, what were you interested as a teenager? We're thinking like those late middle school, early high school years. What was Blake like then?
I mean, what I was interested in when I was in middle school and high school was girls, and that's really it. Girls in high school drinking quite a bit. So, I don't really know what my real interests were in high school because I had a sort of turmoil home life. And that sort of took me to like partying, drugs, alcohol, all that stuff. And it's a story that I think that you hear a lot when it comes to massage therapists in particular is, sort of more difficult past that lands them either in sobriety or continuing with like wellness and fitness and things like that. And I think it's just the other end of the spectrum is where I landed. So when I was a teenager, I didn't have any direction at all. I just was sort of going, and then did the party scene, and eventually just got sick of it, and was just like, this is probably going to kill me if I keep doing this. So then I got into fitness, and that was just like my new addiction. And as that evolved, my interest in the wellness side of fitness started to develop. And that's sort of how I ended up with taking care of people in a very physical sense. So that's sort of an A to B description. It gets a little bit hard for me to remember high school and like early 20s, but that's like sort of synopsis of it is that I just had no direction, and then it sort of evolved into fitness, then wellness, then here we are today.
And so as you're getting more involved into fitness, you're getting involved into wellness, what was the point where you were looking at massage and when that started to come onto your radar and became something interesting to you?
Yeah, so massage was always interesting to me, even when I was like a little kid. So when I was really little, my mom always wanted me to rub her shoulders, which sounds weird, but I'm sure any mother with young sons would probably have them do that same thing. But she would have me rub her shoulders all the time, and she would really just be gassing me up, but she would be like, oh, your hands are so strong. And I was like, yeah, I'm strong, and she was just trying to keep me going by encouraging me. But so I would keep going. And I think over that next couple of years where I thought that rubbing my mom's shoulders was my best way to show her that I cared, my hands actually did get strong. And I actually did start to figure out what felt good and just sort of the structure of the body by doing that. So it was always something that I found interesting, but I never saw it as a career opportunity because I always just thought like what everybody thinks. I thought that massage wasn't a really respectable career. And so once I started to get into fitness and sobered up, of course, I started to realize that I had a real draw to it. Like there was something about it that made me feel like I cared for someone. So I was going to be a personal trainer who was also a massage therapist. Like that was my plan. And so I was working at GNC at the time, and I already knew how to become a personal trainer. That's a certification. And but I was like, I'll knock out this massage thing first, and then I'll move on to training. And actually what happened was I did so well with massage that I actually never went back to training. But it was something that, inside me, I always knew that I liked. I always knew that I had an interest in from a very young age. So I think it was natural progression, honestly.
And so when did you know that owning your own business was going to be the right avenue for you?
I don't know. That's kind of the odd thing about how I ended up where I ended up. Because initially I just wanted to be on my own, like so many other massage therapists just want to go out and be like, this is my space, like I'm the one here. I'm the massage therapist. I don't owe anybody any money. I don't owe anybody anything. And it's a hard question to answer. I never worked at a spa. I worked at a gym to start. So I worked for a small business even at the very beginning. And I moved out of that space and moved into my own space. And that's when I decided to like start an LLC because I had heard it would be easier to like write things off for taxes and things like that. And I actually called myself Tennessee Massage Collective because I didn't want anybody to know it was just me. It was a marketing thing. The bigger they thought that I was, the more likely they would be to come to me specifically. And then it ended up seeming like, I don't know, a waste to just have it be me. So I started bringing other massage therapists that I trusted and had worked with before with me. And we sort of shared space. We shared, if somebody had a big event that they couldn't fill on their own, we would stay within this little network of people. And, those would be our people that we, would go to if we needed help. And, it just sort of evolved from there into Tennessee Massage Collective being this sort of umbrella brand that was actually several independent massage therapists who were able to essentially make things look more legitimate by going through Tennessee Massage Collective itself. And from there, it just became like Tennessee Massage Collective was a lot easier to find than just independent massage therapists. So it seemed to me like it would be a huge waste to just use that for personal gain. And so I wanted to be able to bring everybody together into a space where they felt, safe and supported and could make good money. It got away from me, honestly. Like, it grew on its own. And it was just based on the things that massage therapists really needed and wanted and experience that they really longed for from the get-go.
And so with the way things are now, I think there's no right or wrong way to structure a business. So there's multiple practitioners operating independently under this umbrella of Tennessee Massage Collective. I'm curious if you could just describe more about a little bit about how that works and how you guys do work or not work with each other. Because I think there's routes people can go when they're looking at expansion. There's, okay, I have my team, they're all employees, we go this way. There's also saying, hey, I'm hosting a space, a community to have these other people here. Just, what does that look like in the day-to-day with how it's structured?
So initially it was everybody could be their own independent massage therapist, not really a whole lot of heavy expectations on them. But as time went on and more people were finding Tennessee Massage Collective on Google, Facebook, Instagram, all that, it became really overwhelming to have these independent massage therapists who didn't really have any responsibilities whatsoever. And then I have this full plate. The best option for me there was to just sort of let it function as a business while just paying them better and, allowing them, and they're all contractors, of course, so they get a commission. So the best way that I knew to continue helping massage therapists was to just pay them better for the time that they were working than they would get anywhere else. And that's sort of what it evolved into. But I would love for it to go back to being it's all of us together. And because that would mean my plate wouldn't be as full also. But I would love for it to go back to that sort of we all have responsibilities in this thing. And, we got to make sure that the rooms are filled every day. People can bring in their own clients, things like that. But as for right now, and especially during the COVID times, it was all on me to keep it going. So I was look, simplify, come in here a few days a week to fill the time so that we have somebody here, and I'll pay you better than anybody else is going to pay you. And that was my way of showing them that I still care. And I would just absolutely love to go back. But especially during that COVID time, I was holding all the responsibility and wasn't getting much from others and I get that, it was a tough time for everybody, but their first goal was to make sure that their own personal brand was surviving. So unfortunately, in a lot of ways, I fucked up. It wasn't on purpose by any means, but I was, trying to hold something together that I really felt hadn't been tried before. And it was a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. So that's why I ended up going back to a more simplified, almost like an actual central business. But the goal still, and has always been, to go back to that where they could be independent, work under this brand, and have everything that they need and be treated well.
And so with the way things are set up and structured now,
What does marketing look like? Who is responsible for marketing? And for yourself, what are some of the things you're doing to get people finding you and your team?
A lot of the marketing that we've done in the past has been like business to business, just like walking into different places and being like, hey, if you want to find the best massage therapist, like, let me show you where they are. And that honestly, it works great to go into smaller businesses and be like, hey, like, I'm a small business owner, you're a small business owner. Like, let's sort of refer back and forth, chiropractors, PTs, gyms, things like that. And like, that is a great way to market. But a big portion of marketing now is Google search engine optimization. So a lot of our marketing has to do with like optimizing the words that people use when they're looking for a massage and finding ways to get higher on the list for Google, and at least in Franklin. So that is huge for us. So there's a lot of like research that goes into that, and there's a lot of like talking to different people who know that world, that sort of like software world, because I'm not great at it, but I do my best to learn these things as I go. But we've done pretty well as far as like raising our rank in Google by making sure that the buzzwords are there. And because it's easy, if you are a massage therapist, it's easy to use the wrong words. And that's basically just like, you know too much. So is somebody going to be looking for Graston? Probably not. Somebody going to be looking for myofascial release? Not usually. Most people are typing into Google massage near me or best massage or highest rated massage near me. So a lot of massage therapists will really mess that up by just knowing too much and using words that are more specific to the massage community and not as specific to the customers that are coming in. So that has been a huge help to us, has been just making sure that we're high enough on Google to where we're basically like right after the ads or pretty close. Different things like getting backlinked on other websites is a pretty powerful, it's very helpful to get backlinked on somebody else's website. We've done things like paid marketing on like Nextdoor, because we figured that the people who use Nextdoor are typically like older folks, and older folks have disposable income. So finding the right place to spend the very limited amount of marketing capital that we have is very important. So we want to make sure that we're using, say it's like $150 a month. If we're putting that $150 a month in the right place, it could easily bring back $1,000. But it could also be $500 a month in the wrong place that brings us back almost nothing. So the main thing is like knowing our demographic, knowing the area, and then putting the marketing in the right place. So to answer your question, I handle that stuff, but it's a constant like growing experience. We're always trying to find like the right place to put it and what's the right amount and things like that. Because if you do a $5 ad per day on Google, then your ad is going to say ad next to it. And most people scroll right past those things. It's not going to be prevalent enough to where anybody really notices it.
We'll be back with this episode in just a moment. But first, let me ask you a question. Does it ever feel like you're stuck on some sort of business treadmill? Despite all the hard work you put in, it feels like you aren't actually going anywhere. And at first, growing your practice and filling it with clients was everything you ever dreamed of. But now, the day-to-day of your business is starting to almost feel like a never-ending nightmare. You know you love your clients, you maybe even built a team, and you can't imagine giving any of it up, yet at the same time, you feel like you just can't seem to escape. If that sounds like you, I want to offer you an alternative. I like to call it Wellness Practice Freedom. It's a place where your practice gives you more than just money. When you get to this point, you're no longer the main engine in the vehicle, and instead, you finally get to act like the driver. And most importantly, you'll be in a place where you can work as little or as much as you'd like, because you know that your practice is built in a way that it can thrive without you. Sound interesting? Then I want to invite you to take the journey to achieving Wellness Practice Freedom. During this call, we'll dive into exactly what freedom looks like for you, the changes that you need to take, and what's going to allow you to step back from your business without worrying about your income or everything falling apart. Ready to get started? Then head over to my calendar at www.scalingwellness.com/chat. Again, that's www.scalingwellness.com/chat. Now, let's get back to the episode.
And throughout your journey, how has your mindset changed, and really how has your role as owner changed as you've gone through over the years, growing, the ups and downs, the changes of team? Just how's your mindset and role as owner shifted?
Well, I would say I've bounced back and forth from service provider and owner. And there have been points where I've been so busy providing the service, which I felt like was what we needed at the time, that I wasn't able to handle like the back end of things. And then there's been times where I'm realizing like how many services I'm providing and how much time that's taking away from the administrative work that I really need to do to sort of optimize. And I think there's a sort of ebb and flow to it. So like there are times when I need to put most of my focus into administrative work. And then there are other times where I need to be a service provider. And it sort of shifts back and forth. And I think that it does make it difficult to be owner, operator, and service provider. But yeah, I think that it's good for me because it clears up monotony as well. And it's constantly evolving in a way like eventually I won't be able to be as much of a service provider. And like, that sucks. But also it's going to be the natural progression of things. So I think that the market tells you what to do. And I think that your intuition tells you which way to go a lot of times. And if you feel like you're getting a lot of resistance in one area, you should shift a little bit to the next area where you're useful. Honestly, I think that it's fantastic to be able to do that.
I think that's a really excellent answer. I think it's something that I started noticing as shifted the kind of businesses that we work with is helping, more people in your position of like, okay, as you like being the owner and operator and practitioner is a lot. Like it's too much. In the beginning, you do it because you have to, and then figuring out like, where are you needed? What does your business need and how to move those things around? And I think that's something that, especially once you start adding other people into the mix, that part of my reason is having guests on is to speak more to that, because I think a lot of people who are solo practitioners who are looking at maybe growing, I think they don't always know, they don't always understand it. And it's really easy, I think, for solo practitioners, especially, they're thinking about the spa they worked at that sucked for whatever reason. Maybe it's like a massage interview they hate. Maybe it's just like they work for someone else and they just wanted more freedom. And as they're going through their own process of like, okay, maybe it's now time to grow my team, they haven't quite seen what it's like on the other end. But I think just being able to speak to that is really, really important for people to know and hear and understand. And so for now, where you're at, what's next? What's on the horizon for you? Where are you trying to take either your own role or take the Tennessee Massage Collective?
Well, as I've said, it's a back and forth. I don't feel like I'm quite out of that yet, where there's like, I'm administrator, I'm service provider, I'm administrator, I'm service provider, I'm, marketing specialist, service provider. I don't think I'm out of that yet. So I think we're still in that spot where I'm needed almost everywhere. But the goal would be for me to be less of a service provider in the end, less of a service provider and more of an administrator. And I resist that, because like massage is what I fell in love with. And I always wanted to do it, but I realized that I can't do it forever. And if I'm more helpful to the other massage therapists by moving into an administrative role and pushing more people towards massage therapists that I trust, then that's where I have to be. So I think like over the next maybe 6 months or a year, I'll slowly be moving more into that role. Of course, you have no idea, sort of flying by the seat of your pants when you own a small business. I'm sure you know that in the next 6 months to a year, hell, I could be doing more massages than ever. But I think that my prediction over the next 6 months to a year is probably going to be me moving into a more administrative role and maybe providing services 2 to 3 days a week, and hopefully generating essentially just bigger paychecks for my trusted massage therapists. And, I want them to be comfortable in life and to feel like I'm looking out for them. And I'm sure that's not always the case, because I screw up, but I want them to feel that way. when they think about Tennessee Massage Collective and when they think about me, is that I am looking out for them. So moving into administrative is probably going to be where this lands for me.
Mm-hmm. So I want to say thank you for sitting down to spend the time to have this conversation. I've got a few more quick questions. They don't have to have quick answers. The first one, having a business, running a business is hard. When you're frustrated or overwhelmed, what do you turn to? What's the thing you do or hobby or whatever to find some sort of relief?
Well, like my main thing has always been the gym, going to the gym. That's always been a big stress reducer for me. As we grow, find smaller and smaller pockets for me to do that. But I always make sure to like make it to the gym to just get that, like, if my exercise is not up to my standards, I try to remind myself, like, you did it, you went in there and you made it in today. So that's a big stress reducer for me. And then, of course, like hanging out with family and friends is a big way to reduce stress. And straight up, like venting, just finding somebody who's going to listen but not like play into your neurotices is pretty important. So just somebody who's going to sit there and listen to me bitch and complain about stuff for like 30 minutes and then be like, sounds tough, buddy. And then back at it the next day. So that and outdoor stuff, love to do kayaking, hiking, things like that, just exploring.
And as you've grown your business, have you gone through this journey? What's been a favorite resource of yours? A book, a podcast, a person, a course, just anything, something that stands out as being really helpful to you?
I think the answer to that is actually algorithms. And what I mean by that is like, my interests as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, sort of show up in an almost visceral way. I don't look for anything. It finds me because of my interests. So like Instagram is surprisingly helpful, because the different people I follow, Gary Vee and different people like that who just won't let me make excuses for myself because they're just the way they talk. It's just like, that's what's being fed in all the time is like these different business owners or inspirational people, influencers, things like that. And while I don't typically like social media or Instagram at all, the development of my interests matching with what they're going to feed me actually helps quite a bit. It helps you in a way that you don't even know that you're being helped. And I think that's really cool. And also, through my life, I've read things like How to Win Friends and Influence People and Think and Grow Rich, things like that. And then the top resource, I would say, is just talking to other people who have owned businesses because they learn from mistakes and they'll tell you how to avoid those mistakes, what those mistakes were. They want to see you do well without screwing up in the same way that they did. So that's the main thing that I think that small business owners should look into is talking to other people who own small businesses that have become successful. Because any successful small business owner is going to think, if you say, how did you do it? The first thing that's going to come to their minds is all the ways that they screwed up. And they want to tell you about it. And they want to stop you from doing the same thing.
And so my final question, any parting words of advice for our listeners, people who are growing their own practice, maybe thinking about starting a team, people who want to move forward in their massage business?
Yeah, I would say don't try to do it alone. There's no reason to alienate yourself from other people. Find good people and let good people into your life and let them in on what you're thinking and how you would like to grow and give them the opportunity to help you grow. And I always say if I had it to do again, the main thing that I would do is have a partner. And of course, a lot of people who start with a partner would probably tell you that the one thing that they would do is probably do it on their own, just because there's different struggles to each. But I think that surrounding yourself with people who want to see you do well is the most important. And then bringing workers in that you feel like genuinely care about the success of your business and your personal success is completely invaluable. You have to have that in your world, or you will constantly think that you're screwing up because you need somebody to tell you that you're doing okay. And I think that that's like the main thing that ends so many small businesses, aside from, the obvious, like you started a restaurant right before COVID, like that'll kill you. But I think that the main thing that kills entrepreneurs and small businesses is that you're constantly thinking how you're messing things up, and you need somebody there to tell you that you're doing okay. And so that is like your main resource, is good people who want to see you do well.
So again, thank you so much for sitting down and having this conversation. If someone wants to learn more about you, your business, or get connected with you, where's the best place for them to go?
I mean, we have our website. It's nashmassage.com. And you can just, it's not a super extensive site, but it tells a little bit about each of our massage therapists who are sort of regular massage therapists here. So it tells a little bit of their backstory. It tells almost nothing about my backstory, but you've got it right here. So, and yeah, we've got our Instagram too, at TN Massage Collective. And that thing is almost dormant, but every once in a while I post some stories and stuff. And then, of course, anybody could just send me an email if they want to talk about starting their practice, or shoot me a DM on the Instagram. And if they need advice or just somebody to tell them, like, you should go for it, because I'll tell you every time to go for it.
All right. Again, thank you so much. And thanks for everyone who's watching, listening, however it is they're consuming this content. That's all for this interview, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.
The Scaling Wellness Podcast is hosted and produced by yours truly, DJ Turner. Administration, guest research, editing, and associate production by Helen C. For highlights and updates, follow us on Instagram at Scaling Wellness. And for more information on how to scale your practice up and get out of the day-to-day, head to www.scalingwellness.com.